Do you hear a giant sucking sound? That's the sound of Canadians sending their money into the United States and into the American economy. And it's not just Canadian businesses that are leaving Canada, it's also Canadians who are sending their money down to be invested in the United States. According to the National Bank, between February and July of this year, Canadians purchased $124 billion worth of American securities. And because we have seen declining foreign investment in Canada, this is leading to a situation that the National Bank is calling a capital drain. Now, why would millions of Canadians have voted elbows up in this spring's federal election campaign, but seem to be elbows down when it comes to their investments? Well, they're protecting their financial future, and that's because Ottawa has been pursuing wrong-headed policies on many different fronts. First, of course, there's the trade conflict with the United States. Now, Canada was one of just two countries, including China, that hit back harder against the United States when it imposed tariffs on the rest of the world than the United States hit against our economy. Now, why is that? The United States imposed tariffs on Canada, yes, but only on goods that were not included in the free trade agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Well, the Trudeau government decided to hit back harder and actually impose tariffs on goods covered by the USMCA. This really angered the Trump administration and led the Trump administration to impose a 35% tariff on goods that are not covered by the USMCA on the Canadian economy. And that's one of the highest rates in the world. Compare that to 25% for Mexico and 10% for the United Kingdom. Now, thankfully, the Mark Carney government started to reverse that policy and remove tariffs on USMCA goods. However, the Trump administration has yet to lower tariffs against Canada for non-USMCA goods. And what that means is that Canadian goods, at least the 15 or so percent of goods that are not covered by the USMCA, are facing extremely high tariffs of 35%, and that is hurting our national economy. Now, there's also the fiscal situation. We are facing a situation where the parliamentary budget officer is calling our fiscal situation stupefying. He says that we are barreling towards a fiscal cliff, and if we don't change course, we could go off that fiscal cliff, much like we did in the 1990s, and have to see massive cuts to try to fix the situation. Well, that's essentially what the federal government is ignoring. The federal government is ignoring those warnings and is ignoring the history of the 1990s. Because, according to the National Bank, we are facing a deficit this year likely of $100 billion, which would be the second largest deficit in Canada's history. We have a finance minister who says he wants to make generational investments not seen since 1945, at a time when Canada's economy clearly cannot afford it. So those are just two major reasons why Canadians will be parking their money south of the border. We have a deteriorating fiscal situation and we have a dangerous trade situation, neither of which appear to be able to be resolved in the near future because we have a government that is still elbows up against the Americans, and we also have a government that is spending like crazy and is not taking our fiscal situation seriously. So we will probably continue to see this capital drain leaving Canada for the United States and elsewhere over the next number of years, unless the federal government smartens up, gets a deal with the Trump administration, and also stops digging a fiscal hole, gets our deficit under control, and finally gets Canada's federal finances into real shape.